Travis went Goodsell. As I was finally, it's almost 12 noon, as I was finally showering and shaving, brushing my teeth, I heard a knock on the door. And it was not the normal knock of any resident here. Because most of them are very soft, and I have to have noise down in order to hear it. And then Russell has a distinctive knock. So I knew that this knock was an unusual knock from a neighbor who never typically knocks, or was from an outsider, stranger danger, Will Robinson. And I'm not answering the door naked, obviously, and so I just ignored it. After I finished brushing my teeth, though, I did go to the window to see if there was a car outside, to see if I could eliminate whether it was a potential external stranger danger. Nope, nothing. So I guess it's another neighbor. No note was left. Nothing was slipped under my door. Checked the mail. Wasn't a mailman with some certified letter or anything like that. So, yeah, have no idea what it was. Technically, in legal terminology, I have to fear for my life. Obviously, I don't care if I live or die. I've lost everything in my life. But you can't say you don't have any fear, because then the courts think that your life isn't threatened. Facts don't mean anything, feelings do. Who cares about the evidence? I want feelings. You need to make me feel like you're in danger. Anyway. But yeah, I'm literally waiting for someone to attack, physically attack me, to take away my life. Because that's the consistent pattern that's been going on. They don't do it with a knife or a gun. They do it with their position of authority or trust. And that's not considered a crime in the law. And it needs to be. That's why police officers are getting away with murdering unarmed black men throughout this nation. Is because there's nothing in the law to punish a police officer who commits a crime equal to a regular citizen, if not more severely, as it should be aggravated. They have aggravated charges for we the people, but when it comes to police officers, government leaders, religious leaders, nope. They are the law, and therefore the law does not apply to them. And so they aren't held accountable, and they continually get away with what we spend years locked up for. Even when we're innocent, we get locked up, our lives ruined. Case in point, 2008. Having lost everything in my life, and seeing that again my life was getting premeditatively conspired against. I saw the plot that was being planned against me, and so I knew I needed to act fast. And so I did. I turned in a petition for a redress of grievances. It just wasn't in the format that they wanted. And it wasn't to the people that they wanted, although it was, one of them was. And so, realizing that I was standing up to the bullies then decided to flex their muscle or fluff up their peacock feathers and attack. And so I was arrested 2008, August 20th. And eventually charged with terroristic threat and 3 counts of terroristic threat for filing a petition for a redress of grievances with the proper people. And the church was considered a government agency, as when my lawyer finally did do something for me, he pointed that out to the judge. Your Honor, count number 2 lists one of the plaintiffs, or one of the charges, as having been done to such the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, considering it a government agency. And then Judge Vernice Treese, turns to the prosecutor who was assigned to the case and says, will Mark Shurtleff be changing this count, or will it be dropped? And we'll get back to you on that. Yeah, they didn't get rid of it. They dropped it to a Class B misdemeanor of harassment, some crap like that. Yeah, heaven forbid that a church should receive anything and call it harassment. And so if you don't understand, the church has been attacking me since I came to Utah and restored my Paleo-Hebrew decipherment. Because when I deciphered it in February 1997, I told my wife at the time, hey honey, deciphered Paleo-Hebrew. Joseph Smith is a translator. Isn't that awesome? And in April, after the conference, I never loved you. My kids will never learn Hebrew. My kids. And away she went. Or, from the song One Bourbon, One Scotch, One Bourbon, One Whiskey. Am I getting them in order? And out the door she went. She wasn't lovey-dovey. And my parents helped her. Bishop helped her. Same bishop who laughed and thought it was funny that he exposed himself to little children. That's why I call him Lester the child molester. And so yeah, I took a while because I had to wait for the tax return that year, which thankfully was it still Bush? Was it still Bush? 97? Yeah, because 98. No, 98 was when Clinton first took office, wasn't it? But regardless, we had the 1,000 per kid stimulus or whatever it was called, and so yeah, I was able to buy a new computer system, a more updated one, an e-machine. And then get AOL, the dial-up internet. What a joke that was. But was able to at least use it as a word processor to produce my research and proceed with the vocabulary research and present my decipherment to the church, because I thought this was awesome. And turns out that F. Michael Watson, and if you understand, I was warned not to say his name and talk about this experience. And yet here I am doing it again. F. Michael Watson, I think he's finally retired. I hope. Let's find out what he's doing with his life lately. Because after Hinckley, Monson put him down back into the 70 and hired that other guy to be his secretary. Seriously, what the hell, Chrome? It's like they just don't care about their product anymore. They're supposed to be improving year after year, not getting worse year after year. Hello? There you are. F. I have to type one letter at a time and wait a minute for it to allow me to type the next letter. Yep, Google knows his name. F. Michael Watson. He's 77 years old. March 9th, 1943, Spring City, Utah. Educated at the Utah State University. Claim this knowledge panel? What? Okay. Are you not a Wikipedia person? Apparently not. What is F. Michael Watson doing answering a question for Fair Mormon? He's given the identity of the Hill Cumorah. God. You have way too much power in your head, boy. Alright, we'll go to the church's site then. Apparently he's still a member of the 70. We're gonna mix it up. 38 years of working with apostles and prophets on a daily basis has only strengthened the testimony. You don't strengthen a testimony. You either have it or you don't. You strengthen faith, not testimony. Dear God. It's the whole concept of seed to fruit. You either have fruit or you don't have fruit. You don't strengthen fruit, you strengthen the seed that grows into the tree. It's not a complicated doctrine. And yet Mormons screw it all up. So this is back in 2008. I mean, is he dead? What the hell? He's on Wicked Data and Everybody Wiki, Mormon Wiki. Michael Watson? No, that's not him. So I guess he's not good enough to have his own Wikipedia page like me. Alright, slow, very, very slow, very, very slow. Amazon. Served as a secretary, blah, 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 from 1986 until his call as a general authority in 2008. Watson was born. Served as 6. As both assistants. Yeah, nothing. I wonder if I'm on this one. Search among all articles. Travis Wayne Goodsell. Nope. I'm one of their people that makes them money. They still don't even have me listed. Alright. So yeah, he was the one that intercepted my letter to President Hinckley. Said that he was authorized to speak on his behalf. Come to find out, that was a joke. He purposely kept it from Hinckley. So seriously, guys, you only did 5 for that first season? What is it with the cable channels only doing like a half a dozen shows per season? What happened to the 24 to 30 episodes per season? So anyway, and so yeah, I get a response back from him saying that he had contacted good friends at BYU who are knowledgeable on this subject, and he starts telling me all about my education that I'd already known. The traditional understanding of what was currently believed to be the origin of Paleo-Hebrew. And so that was a complete waste of my time. And so, going to church at the younger singles ward, the stake president contacts me and informs me, oh, this is still season 1? Huh. Alright. So why were there only 2 on that one disc? Now you're going back to 4. That he wants to meet with me. So I say, oh, okay. I'm getting a stake calling. Not in Utah. And so yeah, I knock, and doors opened, and it's one of his counselors that answers, and it's a tight room, and because he doesn't have the regular big size office for his ward, for his stake building. It's one of the older buildings. And the whole stake presidency and the whole bishopric are there. And I sit in a chair next to the desk, almost like that tight. And all of a sudden, they go into me. Who have you told about this? What are your intentions? Are you trying to destroy the church? And the bishop then speaks up. I saw you not partake of the sacrament one Sunday, and we all know what that means. It means you've got sin that's... I'm going, what the hell's going on? And I don't say what the hell back then. I'm more open and free with what the hell now. and the stake president, dismisses the bishop and says, we were told by President Hinckley to investigate, or whatever word he used, as to the letter you'd sent. And I'm going, excuse me? Well, yeah, President Hinckley told us. And I flat out said, President Hinckley doesn't even know. And they're like, What? Oh, no. Nothing could be done in the church without the president of the church knowing about it. So, yeah. Stake president then says, I'm going to go downtown to church headquarters and I'm going to ask President Hinckley myself to find out what's going on. Yeah, you do that. He never came back to me. They had him disappeared. No, it was the first counselor who I met some Sunday later, and he says, oh, and by the way, you can continue your research, just don't go against the church. I didn't know I was. And so yeah, they sort of got put in their place on that, but didn't stop there, as Farms also had abused me when I reached out to them to say, hey guys, I just found out about you, because we don't have Google search back then. I mean, I had AOL. I don't even think we had email back then. But, yes, we did. I reached out to Gary Greenberg once, and he replied. Yep. And my old teacher for Biblical Hebrew reached out to him, too. And he replied. Yep. They're gone. Anyway, found out about him, contacted him on the phone. And while on the phone to John Tvetnes, I'm telling him about Joseph Smith is a translator, and he's telling me Joseph Smith is not a translator. And I'm like, I'm shocked. I'm on the phone and I'm speechless. And wow. Another phone call later, I ended up talking with John Gee. And I was trying to ask if there was anything else that Joseph Smith had claimed to have done translations with, or if anybody has done any papers on Joseph Smith's translations, and he directed me to Louis C. Zucker's lecture that he gave at BYU. He's a University of Utah professor, or was. I'm sure he's probably retired by now, unless he's emeritus status like Hugh Nibley was. Here's your office here. You stay here as long as you want. We'll let you pretend. We'll let you pretend like you have a class. And had to go to the University of Utah, go to their ancient archive section. They changed it at one point in time when they redesigned or remodeled the one portion of the library. But went and asked the guy if he had that article by Louis C. Zucker, and the guy said, oh yeah, do I have a copy? And oh yeah, he made a copy for me and didn't charge me for it, so that was cool. You can find it online now, but in there, Louis C. Zucker is telling Mormons at BYU that Joseph Smith is not a translator, complete and utter fraud. And so that's what John Gee's answer was to me, as I then found out. And so, yeah. Then John Tvetnes held a lecture series about the, it was actually Farms that did a lecture series at BYU, and I went to the first one with John Tvetnes, and he was talking about how how there are extra sources that confirm the Book of Abraham is correct. And so I went and attended, sat there in the middle of the lecture class, and at the end he allowed for questions. I was the only one raising my hand. He didn't know who I looked like. And I said, Joseph Smith's translation from the King Follett Discourse of Genesis 1:1 from the biblical Hebrew text seems to support the text of the Book of Abraham. And the whole crowd is like, and he starts chuckling. Oh, you're referring to Joseph Smith and King Follett, and then he did. Was Joseph Smith wrong then? I never said that! Gotcha! You know exactly who I am now. He did say that. He outright lied to the audience to cover himself up. And so, yes, I get a call from Michael Peterson, or a letter, I think it was, informing me that I am to stay away from farms. And so when I was asked to be a church service missionary with the curriculum department, the supervisor got information from farms. They found out I was working on the project, and they tried to have me booted out. Get him out of there, we don't want him. Oh, he's a troublemaker. Lo and behold, I had a troublemaker file with the church because of that Michael Watson thing. And unfortunately, nobody had power over me. I was invincible. Because, as a divorced person, I had to have the president of the church approve my appointment to the mission to do that assignment. And so, because he approved me, nobody else could touch me. It was awesome. I could have David Gaunt in a full fury multiple times over, and he would go crying to the supervisor, get rid of him, I want him fired, I don't want to be with him anymore, he's horrible. All I did was said the Egyptians perceived the sunlight, the sun rays, as the intelligence that we call it. As a nuclear physicist, that is blasphemous. It's interesting that the Joseph Smith translation, revision, of the part in Genesis about the daughters of men married the sons of God is actually reversed to be the daughters of the sons of God. That is not true. Oh, is it because your daughter just getting married now? Oops, my bad. Yep, fun times. So yeah, he paired up with James Baker for the rest of the time, as I was paired up with Paul. And then Paul eventually saw the work that I had previously done, went, oh, this is you. Oh, well, I don't need to check this then. We're done. So, yeah. Yep, fun times. But my parents have been trying to erase my history. So that's the thanks I get for being their firstborn birthright blessing son. Is that in order to cover up that they had my kids taken from me, it was necessary for them to lie. Because obviously you can't tell the truth when you're innocent. Now, that's the common thread, is that if people were innocent this whole time, they wouldn't have to create lies about me to destroy me. And that's the whole thing. They have to lie. And so, when I was arrested in 2008, I was locked up indefinitely. Because, the whole Patriot Act thing, remember? Utah was all on board with that, especially now that we have a reason to protect the church with it. And so, yeah, I was disappeared from society. 6 years of my life. I was used as a human experiment guinea pig. They almost murdered me. Being tortured, locked in a cell. The belly that I have comes from them, comes from that 6 years. Being locked in a cell. Being tortured, almost murdered. And it was a miracle I got out. I wasn't supposed to. And so here I am, back at it again. And here they are, back at it again. And the church, again, they won't do it themselves. They get others to do it for them. Saying, I'm not attacking the church. I'm saying Joseph Smith is a translator. Book of Mormon is true, but not a true history, not a translation from ancient Egyptian documents. It's true in other ways. And that pisses them off, because it exposes them as being bad. And so, yeah, they attack me with my residence here. I'm still, now that we're entering winter time, I'm getting the winter rashes that I started getting last year because of last year's attack on me, as the property manager, who was brand new, was hired specifically to have me murdered. And they still won't get rid of her. She's still threatening my life. And then the coronavirus. Governor Herbert was all prepared to handle it. But on February 27th, 2020, for the first of the two lawsuits, I figured out that I could do a waiver of summons, and thus served the church. And so on March 6th, the first case came to Utah. And Herbert made sure that nothing was done as prepared for. He's lied about the numbers. He's covered up. He's fired. He's hired jokes. I mean, the whole testing, that was just a joke. They weren't testing accurately at all. And 800,000 for hydroxychloroquine. Yeah. And so now he's sent us back to work, back to church. Airport director, still missing. Supposed to be a timely process where he's supposed to appear before a judge and say, how do you plead? He didn't plead guilty, he just disappeared. I know what happened to him. I know why he'll never be appearing in society ever again. They set him up so that Governor Herbert can open up his airport. All to protect the church. And so I saw at the beginning, when the stock market crashed, which I told you guys back then, they were simply taking out from non-coronavirus friendly stocks and reinvesting them in coronavirus friendly stocks. That's exactly what they did. That's why we're back up to 30,000 or whatever now. It's just a little game they play. They never really lose money. So it's not like a gambling casino for us. But the church is a heavy investor in it. Ensign Peak Associates, they have a $40 billion portfolio. And so, yeah, it was a shock that, oh, Microsoft, Google, oh, tech companies. Yeah, also Deutsche Bank. Hello. The international hub for money laundering. Hello. Remember the $32 billion that the church received right before Nelson announced that, hey, we're going to have a temple in Russia. Whatever happened to that temple? Whatever happened to the Mormons in Russia? It's a blank line all across Russia now. Yeah. Dirty deeds done dirt cheap. $32 billion, dirt cheap for the church. And so, yeah, they're not going to publicly set an example of me. They're not going to excommunicate me. Of all people, I should be excommunicated. I mean, Jeremy Runnels? Seriously? For his questions. CES letter? Seriously? You're excommunicating him for that. I mean, yes, I understand he wasn't really asking those questions. Nonetheless, seriously? And John DeLynn? Seriously? He's holding a radio program, and because he talks about people who are suffering from the church, you're excommunicating him? Or Denver Snuffer? Seriously? I mean, but me? Wasn't I a terrorist? And I'm not excommunicated? Seriously? Why not me? Why am I left out? We all know why. It's because I will cause severe damage. I already have caused severe damage. Because Gospel Topics Essays, remember them? Remember the news clip? The church has lost 11 million members in active membership. Yep, that's because of me. And not directly, it's the church's response to me. Because in 2008, they had me disappeared. So by 2010, it was official, I'm gone. And so then they had to decide, okay, well, with Travis gone, we need to figure out how to explain what Travis discovered to Mormons so that they don't pursue that same course of study. And as a result, Gospel Topics Essays, specifically John D., Translation and Historicity of the Book of Abraham. Oh, they use big words. It must be good. It must have meaning. Yeah, well. As missionaries, we were given Articles of Faith and Jesus the Christ by James E. Talmage, as that's approved literature for missionaries. And most missionaries couldn't read Jesus the Christ. Some of them could read and understand Articles of Faith. But the big words he uses in Jesus the Christ, that they can't figure it out. I, however, understood it and recognized that all he was doing was putting big words in place of the words from the scriptures. Oh, he's just repeating the scriptures. Got it. So yeah, it's a worthless book. I don't recommend it. Just like I don't recommend Hugh Nibley. If he's got a picture in his book from an ancient source, great. Photocopy the picture and make it a JPEG for your computer files. Otherwise, yeah, his words. Pfft. And don't even get me started on Klingon Skousen. That 7,000 year history thing. Oh dear God, what a joke. But yeah, we'll have Royal Skousen, his son, be in charge of the Joseph Smith papers to explain them to Mormons without just saying, here they are, here's the photo reprint, this is what it is, we're not going to influence you one way or the other, here it is. No, can't do that. They have to influence us one way or the other. And as I've gone over, they've even purposely left stuff out and left links for you to follow the link of the rabbit hole to finally figure out, oh, we're not the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? What? We never were? What? Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there, but you have to do research to find out what they're covering up. Dear God. And of course, they've made it too expensive to buy all the volumes. And so, yeah, no poor Mormon can get them. Only the rich elite, who are most likely descendants of the Danites anyway. Oh, dear God. And so, yeah, I get a knock on the door, and I wonder, okay, is this it? Is he going to have a gun? If I open up the door, am I going to get my head blown off? Who knows? I mean, the landlord, property manager, they're not stopping. They falsely accused me to justify an eviction. And then after I said I got the videotape of my innocence, nope, we don't want to see it. You're guilty. Get out of here. We've decided we're not going to let you go at this time, but we're still going to keep the mark on your record. I had my innocence, and you refused to see it. And we're gonna save it for the future. And it didn't take them long. I thought they were gonna wait until after this second lawsuit. Nope. Found out that they were secretly plotting to have me moved out to another apartment building where they can control me. I'm not your client. You can't touch me. That's why they fired the previous property manager and put the other ones in, is because she told us, well, legally they can't get rid of you now. Oh, okay. And she got fired for that. How dare you tell him the truth? His legal rights? We don't want him to know his legal rights. But yeah, they tampered with my mail, told the post office that I've moved, here's the new address. And that's how I knew, because I contacted a government agency and asked them, why am I not getting the mail from you that I'm supposed to be getting from you, that I've been getting from you on a monthly basis? Well, your address says it's this. No. Well, it says that your landlord was the one who made the change. Excuse me? So yeah, they're still trying to destroy my life. They won't leave me alone. And so as I keep telling you guys through you, that all they have to do is leave me alone. The church, all they had to do from the beginning is just ignore me. Leave me alone. Just say, oh, yep, Travis sent another letter, and throw it away. Instead, they had to create a troublemaker file. If they had just left me alone, I'd have nothing to complain about. I wouldn't have to use YouTube as a public voice for my own self-defense, to protect my life, to at least let somebody out there know what happened to me if somebody finally does come to my place with a gun and blows me away. And yet YouTube, as invested in by the church, has employees that are purposely throttling my videos so that only a few of you are able to see them. And it's only because the majority of you find me on Google search. That's what their analytics tells me. But it's their analytics that results in the problem. So, come on. So that's the one thing that evil people don't understand. Quit being evil to people, and they'll leave you alone. Be good, and people will be good back to you. Oh no, we gotta be bad to them first before they're bad to us. Okay, if you want to live your life like that, have fun with that. And so, copy. Hold on a minute. So my property manager, landlord, they were all trying to claim that because I was using YouTube to talk ill of them, to trash talk them as they called it, that was justification among the long list of lies about me. What are you doing? No, I don't want the newest feature of Windows. They're not letting me get rid of it. Oh, God. See? Even Windows is now turned against me, as Windows is one of the other church investment companies. All they have to do is leave me alone, and I have nothing to criticize anymore. The church got a lot to criticize because there's a lot of history that they've done damage to all of us who have been born and raised in the church and who are members of the church. They've lied to us. They've deceived us, and they're purposely doing it for an agenda that I've exposed because they wouldn't leave me alone. And because they wouldn't leave me alone, I had to keep digging, I had to keep searching, I had to keep researching to find the truth. Found it! And yeah, now I know why. Now I know why there's inverted pentagrams after Joseph Smith was assassinated. Now I know why Joseph Smith was assassinated and by whom. And all they had to do was leave me alone. Just let me do my Paleo-Hebrew decipherment and research into the vocabulary. I would have had that done by now. I would have been well into Egyptian decipherment and creating a brand new grammar and vocabulary with a much larger sign list. Nope. Church wanted to mess with me, to shut me up, silence me, destroy me, murder me. And they don't think of the big picture. That's why I disagree with Dark Helmet. Evil doesn't always win. And it's not because good is dumb. It's evil who is dumb. By being evil, you set in motion a chain of events that lead to your own demise. As much as you think you're getting away with things, eventually it bites you in the ass. So 11 million Mormons who left in part because of the Gospel Topics essays that the church was doing in response to my deciphering Paleo-Hebrew showing that Joseph Smith is an actual translator. And so they thought, oh, well, we'll tell the church that he's just a revelator. He never claimed to be a translator. Yeah, 11 million gone. So we can only assume, therefore, that the remaining Mormons are the completely ignorant, naive, or descendants of the Danites, who have been secretly informed by their forefathers on down the line that they are a part of the evil empire to destroy America. As that's exactly what he's doing. Nelson is purposely not caring about this virus. He's letting it run rampant. They have the prophets getting up saying, oh, we're not going to let this coronavirus take away our agency. We're going to make sure you assemble together in close proximity at church, at temple, at our businesses, so that you can worship God and get sick and die. They've got trillions of dollars, guys, and they're not giving out a single penny of it to any of you. The charities, that's your donations. That's not their money. They take from those donations and invest to increase their money, but not a single bit of their money goes to us. None of it is considered a rainy day fund for us during coronavirus. Is that the, yeah, that's a light from the, okay. And so, yeah, the fast offerings, yeah, that's all our donations for the Bishop Storehouse. But again, as the pattern with tithing, they take from fast offerings and invest it. And so it becomes theirs also. And it's not through the same Enzyme Peak Associates. They've got dozens of investment companies. Not a single investment company knows the full financial value of the church. They do that on purpose. Just in case another whistleblower comes out. And so, yeah, that's why they don't want me excommunicated, because they don't want the publicity of them having excommunicated a Mormon who said Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon are true. That would not look good for them. There would be a lot of explaining to do. And so, yeah, that's my life now. Waiting for Armageddon, because we're in it. That's also why I'm not finishing up the Paleo-Hebrew vocabulary and translation example books, or any of the Egyptian character meanings, vocabulary meanings, and translation examples, and the fulfillment of Ezekiel 37. I've given you what I have, shown you how it works. It's real simple, but I would love to be doing that. But nope, I have to defend my life against the oncoming attack that will not end. And they think that because I'm talking about them, that therefore I need to be silenced. That all I have to do is be silent, and they'll leave me alone. Yeah, no, they won't. Because I'll go back to my translation stuff and showing that Joseph Smith is a translator, and that's a violation of their rules. And so then they have cause to come after me again. So, yeah. Isn't it nice? And now we have Tina Campbell, who refuses to do anything. She's just sitting on it now. And I can't submit anything. The clerks didn't file the last brief I submitted. I did the video of it. Like I said, I have to protect myself. So that's the only source you're going to know about it. You're not going to see it on the docket. Even my motion for Judge Tina Campbell to recuse herself is on the docket, but you can't download the file because they said, oh, Tina Campbell gave an order that we're not allowed to put this on the docket until she makes a decision on those 3 motions. Yeah, she was very quick off the bat to make her initial motions, and now she's gone 2 weeks at least. Yeah. So they're gonna blame me for what they're doing to you. We have no choice but to take your lives. It's Travis's fault. He said Joseph is a translator, so we have to murder you. Blame Travis, not us. Even though we're the ones who are telling you that the coronavirus is taking away your agency and that you have to go to church to worship God. Don't read your Book of Mormon. No, stay away. Don't read about the Zoramites. Don't do it. Trust us. Follow the prophets. Don't hold to the rod. Follow the prophets. And yes, there's a lot of Mormons who are following the prophets rather than holding to the iron rod. Alrighty, so we're at an hour. Just had to get it out. Because again, as you saw, I'm still being attacked through all sorts of different means, using the technology, knocking on my door, strangers, threatening emails, threatening comments on YouTube. The first threat with the property manager, Friday the 13th of all days, back in March. Yep. Church just got served, and all of a sudden, oh yeah, Travis, you said something to somebody even though you have a video showing your innocence, and so we want you gone. Excuse me? That's interesting timing. You're also listed in that lawsuit that just got served. Isn't that interesting? It's nice to have judges in your pocket. isn't it?